of Premier Sports Talk. I'm your host, Randy Prentice. There's a lot to go over. There's a lot to go over from over the weekend. I need to first give you an apology. I've been having all kind of technical issues with my laptop, and I downloaded some software, and it's been giving me some issues. In my episode on Friday, I haven't even been able to figure out why it's locked and it hasn't been able to launch out into the YouTube algorithm. But first, again, welcome to Premier Sports Talk. I'm your host, Randy Prentice, and I want to thank you all before I even get started. I want to just tell you about a milestone. I just need to thank you all. I have reached over, and it's blown my mind. I started the channel on the 4th of July. That was my first airing. Um, Started the channel on the 4th of July, and to date, I have over 117,000 views. Over 117,000 views. And that's basically just on my short video upload post. I just looked. I currently now, since July 4th, I've reached 140 subscribers. And that is all thanks to you. So I want to thank each and every one of you who have subscribed to my channel. But whenever you're a new channel, this YouTube algorithm, you know, small channels, it's kind of hard to get it pushed out there in the YouTube world. Even if you're watching it later, please hit the like button, put a comment in there, let me know who your favorite team is, and any little comment, things you may want me to cover, and then share it because the bigger we grow, when I get to 1,000. Subscribers, I will be able to excuse me for a second. I will be able to create better content. There's some big time sports talk channels here in the YouTube environment. They got videos they upload. I'm able to create my own music. Um, so I got that. But in order for me to download video feeds, you typically have to subscribe to, like, whether it's Threads, to be able to download them and show them on your laptop. Um, so I need that support. If you could just share the channel, help our channel grow, that would be greatly appreciated. So without any further ado, I know I have a New York Giants fan that subscribed over the weekend. I know my Falcons fans have subscribed. Uh, I said before, I'm a big time Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So I just want to give you all a NFL recap of what occurred from over the weekend. But again, thank you for the 140 subscribers. I'm trying to get all the way to 1,000 because that's going to be able to do so much more for Premier Sports Talk in the channel. Okay. Um, so like I said, I wanted to go over the NFL. If I missed your team for whatever reason, forgive me. Put it in the comment. I will make sure that on Friday that I include your team on over the coverage. Okay. First game I want to touch on is uh, the Colts and the Ravens played. The score of that game was 16-24. The Baltimore Ravens won that game. No, Lamar Jackson did not play in that game, but it was a very exciting game. Um, I like the from the Colorado Buffaloes and Dion's primetime Deion Sanders. I believe to total he has 6 players from the college team that's playing in the NFL, and one of them, Jonte Weston, big time wide receiver. He ran a kickoff return for over 87 yards. Was very excited. Did the prime time one of prime time's dances whenever he got in the end zone. Uh, in that game against the Colts, Anthony Richardson, first drive of the game, his outside tackle didn't block for him. He got blindsided, went out the game with a dislocated pinky or finger. I don't know what finger it was, but it was dislocated. And when they kept showing pictures on the sideline, he had a look in his eyes like he did not want to come in. And the way he got hit, I may have thought about not coming back in either. But anyway, the Ravens won that game 24-16. All right, who we got next? Who we got next? We have the Cincinnati Bengals and the Philadelphia Eagles. Joe Burrow, uh, wide receiver Chase, they did play in that game. You may think, their starters while they play in that game. For the last 3 years, the Cincinnati Bengals has been starting to a very slow start at the beginning of the season. I think they went 0-3 the last 2 years, starting the NFL season. So they're trying to change the culture, change the mindset. And Joe said he's playing in these preseason games so he can try to get the team to mesh together and already be clicking when the preseason starts. Um, so yeah, Joe Burrow did play in that game. The score of that game was 34 Eagles, 27 Bengals. Uh, my, I told you all, I reside here in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, the Atlanta Falcons played. The Dirty Birds played the Detroit Lions. The Falcons lost that game 17-10. Neither Michael Penix or Kirk Cousins, they didn't play in that game. So all the backup quarterbacks played in that game. The Detroit Lions did not have anybody playing in that game either. There was a serious injury, though, that occurred for the Atlanta Falcons. One of their safeties, I can't recall the name off the top of my head. I did mention his name on Friday with that airing that I wasn't able to get pushed out, for Friday's episode. But he was a safety. He was going to go tackle the running back. The knee of the running back hit the safety in the head. They end up having to stop the game, um, call an ambulance in. He got taken to the hospital. The good news is that, he got movement in his extremities. He wasn't paralyzed. Thank God, thank God, thank God. And he's doing okay today. Um, who else? The New England Patriots. The New England Patriots played the Washington Commanders. Okay. Jalen Daniels didn't play in that game. But the New England Patriots beat the Washington Commanders 48-18. Okay, Mr. Brooks, I'm hoping you tapping in. You told me if I talk junk on your New York Giants, you was going to unsubscribe. So I just got you being a faithful subscriber. I want to keep your subscription, but there is going to come a time in this season where I am going to be talking trash on them Giants. I just want you to realize that. But with you just subscribing over the weekend, I'm going to be very, very, very nice to you. Okay? The New York Giants, they played the New York Giants. They actually won. They won 34-25 over the Buffalo Bills. Hey, Oscar Weaver, my military buddy. I don't know if you tapped in or not, or if you watch it. Hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Your starting quarterback didn't play. A lot of people say it's only preseason, but these preseason games do count because they're trying to get get the team together, get them to jail for whenever the regular season uh, plays. Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart. Well, before I even talk about Jackson Dart, he did do good in the game, but Russell Wilson did come in. Russell Wilson did come in for a drive in that game. Um, he did not end up scoring because there was a goal line stop. After that series, when they didn't score, they brought Jackson Dart in. Jackson Dart, whether you believe it or not, he played a good game. He actually played a good game. Let me get down here real quick. I got a lot of notes. Jackson Dart, he went 12 for 19 for 154 yards, and he led 3 scoring drives. So I would say that was a pretty good day for Mr. Jackson Dart. People have been talking on the media how he hasn't been practicing very well, but when he got out on that field during game time, he represented. I wish him the best of luck with his NFL career. Okay. Them Cowboys, them Jerry Jones boys, them boys. Jerry Jones has been pissing off Michael Parsons. I got a short feed that's coming out. Michael Parsons went off. He went off. I caught it. I caught what he posted before I had to come live. I promise you, I'm gonna push it out. It's gonna shock you. He is very upset with Jerry Jones. But the Cowboys played the Rams. The Rams end up beating them 31-21. You know, no, Dak Prescott did not play in that game. And what I found out to be a very interesting fact is, and I didn't know this until I was doing my research to give you all some content and information today, that Dak Prescott has not played in a preseason game since 2019. 2019, Dak Prescott has not played in no preseason games. You know, I guess they're being smart with him. They want to make sure he don't get injured. He got paid all that money in his contract. They want to make sure that he's ready for preseason. So the 31-21 loss, it is what it is. Dak Prescott didn't play at all. Neither did Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, he is dealing with a back injury. I know all about those back pains. You know, you're getting those needles in your back trying to he had the same issue last year where he had to set out 3 or 4 games with pain in his back. But this time, you know, the coach and the Rams management hasn't been putting any information out, but he hasn't even been in any practices. So the coach said that they plan on him start practicing after this week's preseason game. So that's the update on there. Tennessee Titans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Cam Ward made his debut. Cam Ward went 5 for 8, 67 yards, uh, with an 89.1 passing rating. So Cam Ward did pretty good in the game. No, he didn't play the whole game. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield didn't play. He got a bruised hand. I said on my Friday episode was that Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they went out and picked up Teddy Bridgewater, a very reliable, confident quarterback. He's been playing for some years. So anytime you can pick up Teddy Bridgewater, that's a good quarterback to have because your team doesn't fall off when Teddy Bridgewater comes in. A lot of times when he come in, he had the offense running better than the regular quarterback. Where are we at? Chiefs and Cardinals. Chiefs won the game 17-10. Patrick Mahomes, he came in for 1 series. The recap on him, he had 1 attempt for 1 completion and a 1-yard touchdown. So he played very, very briefly. Kyler Murray, the quarterback for the Cardinals, he came in the game very briefly. He went 7 for 8 in his passes with 96 yards and 1 interception. My Pittsburgh Steelers, none of the starters played. They had their backup quarterbacks playing. Mason Rudolph. I don't even know why I paused like that. Mason Rudolph was in, and Rodgers didn't play in the game. And the other quarterback's name is Skyler. That's what I do know. But I know that between the two of them, you know, doing a deep dive in this, between the two of them, they had over 135 passer ratings. So they played really good. They played really good against the Jaguars. In that game, that was the unicorn, Travis Hunter. He was able to go both ways. There wasn't nothing spectacular. He caught a catch. He made some defensive plays. He played very briefly. He did miss 1 tackle, but overall, everybody's talking in social media how, his debut went well. The Dolphins played the Bears. It ended up being a 24-24 tie. Caleb Williams, the one that was having all them problems last year for the Bears. For whatever reason, the new coach didn't have him play in that game. They was asking the coach today all on social media why they didn't let Caleb Williams play. They said he's going to get the majority of his preparation during the practices. He may come out there in the 3rd game and get something in just so we'll have a good feel before they start the season. Tua, man, I just pray that he doesn't get any concussions this year. He came in briefly. Tua did 15 plays for 54 yards, but he didn't play. I mean, there was no score whenever he was in the game. We had the Saints and the Chargers play. The Saints played the Chargers. The one quarterback, Rattler, I watched that game very briefly. He came in when he was playing. A lot of his players kept dropping the ball. I don't really blame it on him, but nothing was really clicking while Rattler was in. They brought in Tyler Shuck when he was there. The Saints passed on Shedeur and took Tyler Shuck. He played 7 years in college. He ought to be ready for the NFL. Hell, he ought to be, but he had a decent day. He went 15 for 22 for 165 yards, but he did throw 1 interception. Where we at? last but not least, I want to cover today. Um, like I said, I'm a big time Steelers fan. I told you all in my previous episodes that I've been following Deion Sanders ever since. Um, he was at a HBCU at Jackson State, and he went on to Colorado. That's when I uh, really followed the Sanders family, Deion, Shiloh, and Shedeur, ever since they was playing at Colorado. Shiloh with the Buccaneers, he actually had two big plays in that game. He had one where he broke up a pass, and then another one, boy, he came in off that right corner. He was this close from sacking the quarterback, but he got up underneath the quarterback's arm, hit him up underneath the hair, and caused the incompletion. But that was a standout play. Like I said on Friday, you know, I really, the coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he's been speaking, he's been giving them little praise. He ain't been praising them too high. He hasn't been talking about them too low. He's just been speaking of ShedeurSanders just right, saying that, hey, he's been balling out during practice, but he got to make plays out there on the field. So Shiloh definitely put some good tape, some good plays on tape. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they got four good cornerbacks already, and safeties. So, in order for ShedeurSanders to make this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, he's definitely going to be able to have to make it on the special teams. I'm glad that sun went down because, before when I first got out here, the sun was beaming. It was beaming. Uh, Man. So it seems like anybody who likes football, anybody that has been even catching anything on social media about ShedeurSanders, you know, um, I think those who love football know that he was projected to go either in the first or second round in the NFL draft. We all know that he didn't go in the first or second round. He dropped down to the 144th pick. You know, rumor is that some calls was made up in the upper NFL management. The NFL has a management council uh, of select NFL owners, and they're like, I guess you could call them the chairman, over all the NFL teams. So the management council of the NFL, along with Roger Goodell, supposedly it said that uh, the NFL teams was told to take ShedeurSanders off the board. Um, they want to, say, conspiracy, collusion, whatever the case may be. Shedeur, the one team that Deion Sanders said he didn't want his son to go to, he said it outwardly. He said it outwardly on camera that the one team that he did not want Shedeur to go to, his son, was the Cleveland Browns. And lo and behold, no other team got Shedeur or picked Shedeur but the Cleveland Browns. But the question we need to ask ourselves is that Jimmy Haslam, even though he came out last week and said that he came out last week and he said he had nothing to do with the ShedeurSanders pick. I wonder if he broke ranks from the other NFL owners, and since they saw ShedeurSanders slide all the way down, that Jimmy Haslam made a call to Andrew Barry, Kevin Stefanski, and told them give up their last two picks and grab Shedeur. So instead of them having to pay all that money in the first and second round, they went and got him in the 144th pick. And all they had to do was pay him $4.6 million for his contract for 4 years. Thought to come to my mind, diamond in the rough. No NFL teams picked him up. I wonder if Jimmy Haslam really, really made that call. I wonder if he made that call and said, draft Shedeur, because we can get him on the low. Get a first round, second round talent on a $4.6 million contract. They having to eat all that money on that guaranteed contract that they had to give to Deshaun Watson. $230 million guaranteed contract. Deshaun hasn't been able to play, because he had back-to-back, nothing fake about it, tore his Achilles heel, back-to-back. So, but they still having to eat that cost. But if any of you do not know, here's some information for you. The Cleveland Browns took out an insurance policy on Deshaun Watson. So if Deshaun Watson does not play at all this year, and it looks like he's not going to, well, he could possibly get on the field. But I know the Cleveland Browns ownership is going to do everything possible not to have ShedeurSanders play this year. Because if he doesn't play, that insurance policy kicks in, and then they play the $40 million plus is covered off of that insurance policy. And the Cleveland Browns don't have to pay that money. And then when they got Shedeur on the low, it's a win-win situation for the Browns. But I think there is a struggle within the Browns management. Matter of fact, I know, because Kevin Stefanski made the pick to get Dylan Gabriel, played for the University of Oregon, played college football, 3 different teams. I know Oregon won, University of Florida is the second one, and he played for Oklahoma. He was supposed to come out in the previous year's draft, but when he found out that he was only going to be a 7th round pick, that's when he went to Oregon to raise up his draft stock. But even this year, he was projected to go no higher than the 6th round, but Cleveland reached Kevin Stefanski, went and grabbed him. So the NFL, they have their pecking order, 1st round, 2nd round, 3rd round pick. So with Jimmy Haslam saying that he did not want, he wasn't involved in picking ShedeurSanders, he put all that ownership on general manager Andrew Berry. So, a lot of fans are upset up there in Ohio, whoever's a Cleveland Brown fan or a fan of ShedeurSanders, until this past weekend, ShedeurSanders, he's a 5th round pick. With him being a 5th round pick, he was not supposed to be able to get any first team reps during training camp, OTAs. He wasn't supposed to. It's unheard of for a 5th round pick to get reps with the first team. And from what I've been listening all through social media, even 3rd round picks typically don't get 1st round picks. But with Dylan Gabriel's being Kevin Stefanski's pick, he's been giving him all the chances possible for Dylan Gabriel to prove himself to, if not be the starter, to at least be a backup. And then Shedeur had been getting all the leftover reps. But won't God do it? Won't God do it? If anybody's seen that game, the Cleveland Browns and the Carolina Panthers game, Shedeur balled out. He balled out. God's glory shined through Shedeur. He played so well that, Kevin Stefanski and all his post-game interview, what I did not like in his post-game interview that I saw is that he gave the defense credit. He gave one of the persons who they caused a fumble on a kickoff return and they got the ball. He didn't give out a game ball, so he didn't want to show any favoritism towards Shedeur at all. And he did not mention Shedeur's name at all during that post-game locker room inspirational talk to his team. I felt like that was pretty messed up. But it is what it is. Shedeur says it's all over social media. It ain't about how many reps you get. It's about being ready when you get the rep and make those reps count. That man has so much. That young man, he's only 23 years old, and the intestinal fortitude and the belief and faith, he's grounded in God. He is grounded. He said it's not about the matter of reps. It's when his name is called, he just to make sure that he's prepared and he's ready. After the post game interview that they had for him, Shedeur said, he didn't do as well as he wanted to do, even though he balled out. He felt like he let Primetime down because there was some plays. There was at least 3 plays that he made some bad decision making, but they won the game. They won the game 30-10. And Shedeur was he was the reason for 3 of the drives, 3 of the scores. He just, there's no way that they can dismiss how well that young man played. And then today, um, Shedeur finally got some reps with the second team. So, you know, they allowed him to get practice reps with the second team uh, players. He's still not going to get any first team reps. Those first team reps are usually uh, kept to play with whoever's in contention to be the starting quarterback. Kevin Stefanski say after this week's game, he may announce the starting quarterback. You know, Kenny Pickett that came from the Pittsburgh Steelers, he was playing decent. They wasn't giving Joe Flacco, old man Joe, a lot of reps. But in practice, Kenny Pickett, he was supposed to throw a play. Defense came on him. He ran for 60 yards, scored a touchdown in practice, and got a second-grade hamstring pull. That's why he hasn't been playing. They are letting him do individual drills. He is not playing in this weekend's game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Uh, Ironically, Dylan Gabriel pulled his hamstring. At least that's what they're saying. He pulled a hamstring. Um, but he came back today doing 11 on 11 drills with the second team. Uh, it was amazing that they allowed Shedeur to get in before Dylan. So supposedly, uh, if Dylan Gabriel doesn't re-aggravate that hamstring, he's supposed to be getting in that game against the Eagles. I'm hoping that they allow Dylan Gabriel to start that game so the world can see with our own eyes what Dylan Gabriel is about. He balled out at Oregon, but when he played at Oregon, he had all world-class players playing at Oregon, you know. So we're going to find out, is Dylan Gabriel that needs all the king and queen and rook chess pieces around him in order for him to succeed, or can he do more with less? Because that's all ShedeurSanders has been showing. He's been doing more with less, you know. I try to keep this to 30 minutes, like I said. You know, um, I need to tell you all again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Anytime you reach a certain milestone, YouTube shoots out, congratulations. It blew my mind when I hit 50,000 viewers. It blew my mind when I hit 75,000 viewers. It blowing my mind that I got over 117,000 viewers. And I would think with that many viewers that I could have hit 1,000. Hear that? 1,000, 1,000, 1,000 subscribers. Hey, but I procrastinated in starting this podcast. I procrastinated on putting out a spiritual word to the world. So God's making me work for it. And that's okay. I'm all right with that. Hey, it is what it is. God is going to show up and show out. He's letting me know, hey, you got over 100,000 viewers. Who does that in a month's time frame? 117,000 viewers. But I need 1,000 subscribers. And if you look at any of my short feeds, there's a little short feed post that's saying, help the channel grow. Whoever's that 1,000 subscriber, I'm giving y'all that. God is my witness, and I'm speaking it out loud, and you're hearing it come from my mouth. I'm giving away $100 for that 1,000 subscribers. Just keep pushing me there, keep pushing me there, keep pushing me there. Help the channel grow, because without you, this wouldn't be possible. And I'm going to continue to send out a short spiritual message, a short spiritual nugget, because God wouldn't have been spoken to me in my ear and within my spirit to say somebody somewhere is needing to hear his word. So I'm going to do his will and praise him. And like when I always close, I like to say, may blessings fall upon you, and may you be a blessing to others. God loves us, regardless how many times we stumble. Randy Prentice with Premier Sports Talk. Again, hit that like button, share with somebody. I really need y'all feedback. Put some comments in. Who's your favorite team? What you want me to cover? And so I can do things a premier way. You can sit at the premier table and we chew and cook on everything that's trending hot in the world of sports. All right, y'all take care. Peace and love.